On his 22nd birthday, Cooper DeJean, with a pick six off Patrick Mahomes, Josh Sweat, bird-dogging Mahomes as well, the Eagles defense, the birds, all over the place, and they rout Kansas City to the tune of 40-22. A mollywop situation, and they secure the second Lombardi trophy in franchise history. Move over Nick Foles and the Philly special as the Eagles have won again. The dream of the three-peat has ended for Kansas City as they fail to get her done. So let us discuss the question. What happened to the deep state conspiracy regarding Roger Goodell and the NFL fixing games for Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and the Chiefs? What happened to it? So I've got Ralph Waldo Emerson, chewing gum, and friendly skies. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make a bottle of champagne, something that the Chiefs did not get this year. They did not get to celebrate with a bubbly bath as they were losers. So, number one. I said number one. Yeah. That storyline about the NFL rigging the games for the Chiefs is DOA. That would be dead on arrival. A lot of dumb people have a bitter pill to swallow. But I know how this works. It's not my first barbecue. I've been here in the past. I know how these conspiracy theory things work. Not that I'm against all conspiracies. This one I thought was lame from Jump Street. I just thought it was lame. But you are a sucker if you're one of the people that bought into this, and there's a lot of people that did. It was always rubbish. As we pointed out using MALLER math, if you actually check the receipts, the calls in close games all season long were not in favor of Kansas City. There were sporadic calls that were in favor of Kansas City, but if you look at the overall data from the season, it doesn't back up the narrative. It does not. And there's a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson that I think applies to this, that people only see what they are prepared to see. And you also look for evidence to back up your argument, right? That if you are someone that believes that the games are rigged in favor of Kansas City, you're going to look for any questionable call. You're going to ignore the data or the evidence that goes against your hypothesis. And so it was never a peer-reviewed conspiracy theory. Like, I am convinced of a few conspiracy theories that the NBA draft lottery was fixed for Patrick Ewing to end up with the Knickerbockers. I believe that to be true. I also believe that the power outage at Camden Yards in Baltimore that happened on one night and only affected the few blocks around the ballpark on a night where there was something that happened with Cal Ripken of the Orioles in a game against the Mariners. I believe that to be true. Now, there's some other ones that I also believe. I believe Kurt Schilling had ketchup in his sock to enhance the drama for the Red Sox, and Doug Mirabelli talked about that and told Gary Thorne. I believe that to be true. But this one I never bought into. And I like a good conspiracy. I do. I never bought into it. And it's now over, right? It's now, we can forget about that. And in this game, there was a questionable call early, right? And if you're watching, A.J. Brown was called for a push-off. It would have been a first down for Philadelphia, and the call went in favor of Kansas City. So immediately, dumb people, oh, it's rigged, dude, it's rigged. Yeah. Okay. That drove them off. It was short-lived, and the entire story was known as gaslighting. People were deliberately fed false information, and that led them to question watching NFL games, even though the outcomes they thought they knew, they were questioning because of the gaslighting. But the whole storyline was farming. It was engagement farming. The way you make money on social media, and they'll pay you on platforms like X, is engagement. And how do you engage people? You tell them that a game is rigged. And dumb people love that, and they buy into it, and they're all about it. Since the Eagles dominated this game, one going away, it was 34-0 at one point, 40-22, only because of garbage time. The conspiracy theory is completely ignored. Or you do the old switcheroo, right? What is the old switcheroo? Well, they couldn't fix it because it's the Super Bowl. That's why it was a fair game, and that's why the outcome was the way it was. But either way, it's buried 6 feet under. That's it. Now, turning the page. Thumbs up or thumbs down on Jalen Hurts winning Super Bowl MVP honors. Thumbs up or thumbs down. So after a minutes-long Maller deliberation, I am going to go thumbs up. It's rather obvious that he was going to win the MVP, watching the game the way it unfolded here. It is an offensive award. As effective as the Eagles' defense was, this is an offensive award. So the fact that the Eagles' offense had really little impact, hardly any impact from Saquon Barkley, right? And so you look at that, and the defense bottled up Barkley, and they dared Jalen Hurts to make plays to beat them. And Jalen Hurts made plays to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Barkley had 57 yards on, I think it was like 25 carries, something like that. He averaged 2.3 yards per carry. 2.3 yards per carry. He had no touchdowns. So bupkis, right? The Eagles won anyway, and they won anyway because of, as they say in the chewing gum game, double bubble. Now, what was the double bubble for the Eagles? It was Jalen Hurts, who was really good. He only had a few incompletions, I think 5 incompletions the entire game. He was so effective that stiff Kenny Pickett was out there playing in garbage time in the fourth quarter. And then you had Patrick Mahomes, who went to Texas Tech, but it looked like he was at Duke. He was the Duke of Puke, Mahomes. And so that was the double bubble. You had Jalen Hurts good, Mahomes was not, and Hurts 3 touchdowns, and then Jalen Hurts' opponent there, Mahomes, with 3 turnovers, handing points to Philadelphia, setting them up for the win. And so you do the arithmetic on that, and that is how Jalen Hurts ends up as the Super Bowl MVP. All right, final point. So which big-name player for the Chiefs suffered the most from tight tuchus syndrome? Tight tuchus syndrome. All right, so I'm gonna stay away from Mahomes. Is the obvious one. We've already destroyed Mahomes, and he deserves it the way he played. It was unbecoming of a legend. So I'm not going to pile on, but let me spend a few good minutes on everyone's favorite podcasting tight end, Travis Kelce, America's darling, Travis Kelce, riding the friendly skies on a plane that I call the Vomit Comet. He was on the Vomit Comet. Travis Kelce, he showed up dressed like he was ready for Halloween. Maybe he thought the Super Bowl was Halloween, and he had that 70s-style suit on, and it was really more like a 1970s classic, a cult classic movie. The Rocky Horror Picture Show is what it was, watching Travis Kelce play tight end here. He had, in the first 3 quarters of the game, 2 catches for 22 yards. 0 impact plays. Now, he added a couple catches in garbage time in the fourth quarter. But it was like Taylor Swift was singing Blank Space for Travis Kelce, because he was a blank space on the bingo card for Andy Reid and the Chiefs. And there were rumors on Saturday that were likely driven by engagement farming that Travis Kelce may end up retiring. Maybe he already did retire. The way he played looked like he was ready to retire. It was terrible. So if that's how Travis Kelce is going to play, then let him retire. Bring somebody else in there who will actually get the job done, because Kelce did not get it done. And then we're staying at star-level players who suffer from tight tuchus syndrome. You got to say Chris Jones, the defensive star who's a Hall of Fame defensive player for Kansas City, and you didn't even know he was on the field. Now, he left the game early with an injury, but the game was already decided by the time he left with an injury. And Chris Jones, number 95 in your program, but number 0 on your scorecard, made one more play than you and I did in Super Bowl 59. He was credited on the stat sheet with 1 quarterback hit. 1. No tackles, no nothing. Bupkis. Everything else bupkis for Chris Jones. 0 tackles, 1 quarterback hit, no sacks. That's it. That's Chris Jones. You're the top-paid defensive player, and you don't show up, and that goes in line with their tight end, that goes with the quarterback. The biggest stars for Kansas City did not show up. Now, to be fair, the biggest star for Philadelphia did not show up either, Saquon Barkley, but it didn't matter because Jalen Hurts was that good.